Just after midnight in Washington, D.C., the New York Times pushed a breaking alert. Chinese fighter jets shadow U.S. warships near Taiwan. The world's two largest economies were now locked in a contest that spanned continents and oceans. The phrase "New Cold War" trended on social media across Asia. Just 2 decades before, the U.S. and China had shaken hands on a deal that promised a new era of peace and prosperity. On December 11, 2001, China officially joined the World Trade Organization. For China, WTO membership meant access to the world's largest markets. For the US and its allies, it signaled China was opening up and reforming. Tariffs dropped, and foreign companies could now sell in China. The hope was that economic openness would encourage China to play by global rules. But as the years unfolded, this grand gamble would be tested. The numbers tell a stunning story. In 2001, US-China trade was $120 billion. By 2018, it soared to over $700 billion. Chinese factories became the world's workshop, exporting everything from toys to smartphones. Americans enjoyed lower prices, while millions of Chinese found new jobs. But as Chinese exports soared, many US manufacturing jobs vanished. The success of this relationship planted the seeds of future rivalry. The mood was optimistic. US officials spoke of partnership, while Chinese leaders promised a peaceful rise. Economic integration was seen as the path to peace. Joint ventures and cultural exchanges flourished. The phrase "win-win" was everywhere, yet differences remained beneath the surface. By the early 2010s, the mood was shifting. The United States announced its pivot to Asia, promising to focus more on the region and strengthen alliances. China responded with new initiatives like the Belt and Road, pouring money into infrastructure projects. The era of easy cooperation was ending, and the stage was set for global competition. The South China Sea became a global flashpoint as China built military outposts on tiny reefs, claiming nearly all the waters. Billions in trade passed through, making control a source of power. The US and its allies accused China of militarizing the sea. The United States did not just stand by. Starting in 2015, the U.S. Navy launched freedom of navigation operations near China's new islands, directly challenging Beijing's claims. Each patrol brought warnings from Chinese commanders, and sometimes Chinese ships shadowed U.S. vessels. Allies like Japan, Australia, and the UK joined some patrols, signaling support for open seas. The rivalry was now about more than economics. It was about power and the rules of the global order. In 2018, the US-China rivalry burst into the open. President Trump announced tariffs on Chinese goods, citing unfair trade practices. China struck back with tariffs on American products. Soon, the fight moved to technology. The US banned companies from working with Huawei. The US-China competition was now about who would lead in the industries of the future. Taiwan became another arena for confrontation. In August 2022, Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Defying Beijing's warnings, China responded with massive military exercises surrounding the island. The crisis showed how dangerous the rivalry had become. The US-China rivalry now shapes global affairs, economics, technology, and geopolitics. Both nations compete for markets, supply chains, and resources. The tech race is fierce. Billions flow into AI, 5G, and semiconductors. Military competition grows with expanding navies and missile arsenals. This rivalry now shapes the global order. The stakes have never been higher. Asia stands at the crossroads of US-China rivalry. Many in Japan, South Korea, and Australia worry about rising tensions. Southeast Asian leaders feel pressure to pick sides. The choices of Washington and Beijing now echo worldwide. No one knows where the US-China rivalry will lead. The world stands at a crossroads. Today's choices shape tomorrow's peace. Dialogue continues, even amid tension. The choices made now will decide if this century is defined by rivalry or partnership.